Well, congratulations, America. We've made it this far, and maybe we'll just go all the way without too much distraction. We have finished our last poll, our final poll of this season, this election cycle, a national poll. Talk a little about why we did that in a second, but just wanted to point out that the horse race numbers had a slight advantage to Harris at 51%. To Trump's 47%. So, better to be in her shoes than his. But certainly when you look at the state by state numbers, which after all is what determines the Electoral College, as you well know, a lot of those are still very close. And so she may have more pathways to 270, but so did Hillary Clinton in 2016, and everybody knows how that turned out. So, pathways are nice, but they're no guarantee, which means there's no guarantee right now. It's just that it's probably more hers to lose than his to lose at this point. So, having said that, we have a 4-point edge for her in our national poll. We do this so that gives us an indication, obviously not of the battleground states. We've done those already, but it does give an indication of kind of like things to look for, kind of like where's the nation headed in the closing moments of this campaign. And there's no better time to do that than when you get right before Election Day. So a couple things we saw in this national poll that I think are really, really important and maybe illustrative of where things are going to turn out on Election Day and then the subsequent days when the votes are counted. So, having said all that by way of introduction, in our numbers, Kamala Harris is getting 45% of the white vote. Obviously, the white vote is the biggest single group in the electorate. Hillary Clinton got 37% 8 years ago, 2016. Joe Biden got 41% of the white vote last cycle against Donald Trump. She's currently getting 45% of the white vote. So she has picked up among the largest single group, and that's why she's running up whatever advantage she has right now. You heard a lot during the campaign about how she was not doing well with people of color. What we see in these numbers is that, she's not quite doing as well among African-American voters, among Latino voters, but that gap has narrowed significantly, and her weakness is not so much so as to offset the strength she has among white voters. So that's another point. We heard a lot also about whether Republicans are going to jump ship with Donald Trump. We do see something in the numbers that indicates that there's some of that going around. For example, twice the number of Republicans tell us they're going to vote for Kamala Harris than Democrats who tell us they're going to vote for Donald Trump. So in terms of going and picking up some support in so-called enemy territory, she's getting more Republicans than he's getting Democrats. So that's another factor that we're going to be watching very closely when the vote comes in. The other question I think that had a great bearing on all this is just how favorable they're all perceived. And Donald Trump's numbers, his negatives are above 50%. Now, that was the case also in 2016, but people disliked Hillary Clinton, so we had double negatives in 2016. And then he got those in the last week. The people who disliked, I should say double haters, the people who disliked both of them, he gobbled them up at the end. Right now, she's pretty popular with the people, generally with voters in this group. And so she's getting the ones who Donald Trump is not seen favorably in. So the deal there is he's hard to get to 50% when you have more than 50% tell us they dislike you. Numbers on the economy, who is better able to handle the economy, have become very close. Slight advantage for Trump, but not like what we were seeing a month ago. And I think also on the question of change, who represents change, that's an interesting one because Trump has tried to link Harris to Biden and sort of say it's another term for the Biden administration. In that area, again, those numbers have become very close. So Donald Trump's, he's going to shake it up and make change, is offset by the fact that Kamala Harris is saying we're going to turn the page, new chapter in America, kind of offsetting again there. Joe Biden's approval rating is 40% in this poll. Had Joe Biden been the Democratic candidate and not Kamala Harris, I think we'd be talking a very different story today going into Election Day. I think it would have been very difficult for him to get as strong as she has become. And then one last comment. You saw some numbers, no doubt, about the Iowa poll, and Ann Seltzer, who a respected pollster, and had a very, very unusually strong outcome for Kamala Harris in Iowa. This means one of two things: either she's doing really well in Iowa, or the numbers are off, or maybe a third thing could be a little bit of both. She may be doing better, but not so good as to carry Iowa. These are called potential outliers. We don't know whether it's real or an outlier. And if it's not real, we're going to find out. If it is a real change, then hold on to your hats, have your feet firmly planted on the floor, because if Kamala Harris were to carry Iowa, it would tell us an awful lot about other states sort of in that area of the country, and she will run up a huge electoral victory score. We've had numbers in the past over the years which looked outlandish. We had Ohio back when Barack Obama was running, and it looked like it was way off. It turned out to be right. So we're going to see whether, in fact, these numbers do bear truth on Election Day. So lots of stuff. Make sure you vote if you haven't already. And we are doing what countries don't do around the world, and that is practice and exercise our democracy by having people vote for their leaders for president and other offices as well. So stay tuned, and we'll see how this all turns out.